Hello, this is the third training session of the Robo Framework, and we will introduce how to use the inspectors today and show you how to use the inspector of the mobile browser and the desktop browser and the app inspector. And we will also introduce some of the features of the Robo Framework, including how to make keywords from existing keywords. So let's get started. This is today's agenda, and the first part of today's training session will be what is element locator, and the second part will be web inspector of desktop browser and the web inspector of the mobile browser and the mobile app inspector. And the last part will be speed up your test automation speed. Before we start, and I want to introduce you again that the Robo Framework is a UI-based test automation framework, which means all of the test automation will be operated on the UI element. So what does UI best mean? It simulates the human click, input, swipe operation on UI. So every button and every form and even every string text on the UI is called an element. So when we need to operate on this element, we need to know every element's position. So how do we know the position? How do we know? So maybe somebody said, yes, we can use the coordinates. Okay, so it's a solution, but we have a lot of adaptive design today, including the mobile app, including the web page. So the position of each element may change in different resolution. Okay, we can see an example here. And Wikipedia, as you can see, this is a normal page of the full screen. And if we change the resolution of the browser window, the size of the browser window, the web page elements arrangement of the position will change too. You can see the picture of the position of the picture changes, and the auto wrapping will make the text rearrange. So the coordinates is a solution, but if we want to better locate an element, the coordinates is not the best solution. So we can see before that the position changes. Okay, so we have element locator. It's the position of the element on UI, and it's a description, not actual coordinates of the element. And we have a type of element locator called unique ID, and it's usually the fattest. And in web we have name ID. In iOS we have accessibility identifiers, and in Android we have ID. So it's world peace, right? Because we have the coordinates and the unique ID, and also it's fast. So we have these two. Is enough? No, because the unique ID is not all elements have a unique ID. Okay, for example, the dynamic and objects, the dynamic generated list. So we don't have UniID for these elements. Here is example of the our host app of the Light Connect. As you can see, if we use the app inspector to see the element, you will find that the element name on the in the app inspector is almost the same. Okay, so you will not know which one is which one. So we have another element locator strategy. Okay, there's a various way to locate an element. For example, on web, we have XPath and the CSS selector. I think everybody has experience using the Selenium, would know much about it. And in iOS, we have XPath and NS predicate. And in Android, we have XPath and UI selector. So today we will introduce the XPath. It's supported in most platforms, okay, but it's limited support. It's limited support in iOS and XUI test because the XUI test doesn't natively support the XPath, and it's easy to understand. It's relatively easy to understand because it's hierarchical. Okay. And also it's relatively slow on mobile platform, especially on iOS. We have already give you a brief introduction to the element locator. Now we will see the desktop web inspector. As you can see, it's a web inspector of the desktop browser, and I give you a demo here. We will use the Firefox web inspector as an example. Okay, we can launch the web inspector from the tools, web developer, and the web and the inspector. So here you will show the inspector here, and we can go to the site we want. Okay. In the previous practice, we have used the Google search to search criteria here, and I believe you have experience use the web inspector. And also, I will show you again how to use the web inspector. We can click here. Is a pick an element from the page, click it, and move to the item or the element you want. You will show you corresponding code of the web page, and you can find the unique ID of the element. As we mentioned before, usually it will be an ID or a name. Here, for the search text field, the name is Q. Okay. And if you really do the practice of the previous training session, you will know. Okay. And if you want to copy the XPath of this element, for example, if you click and on the text field, and I can right click and select copy, and here we can see it has a lot of options, but usually we only use XPath and the CSS selector. Here we close the XPath. And we can go to the code and create a new file and paste. You can see it here. Okay, if we copy the CSS selector, okay, you can see it's a little different, but both of them uh, is the element locator of this element. Okay, just in different type of element locator. So it's the way to use the web inspector. Of course, it's just a very basic introduction here. If you're interested in the more advantage way to use the web inspector, there is a lot of materials on the web and you can see it. Okay, we don't spend too much time here to introduce the web inspector because in test automation we only use part of the web inspector's function. Here we want the CSS selector and the XPath, so we only introduce how to use the web inspector to copy these two type of the element locator. Okay, next one we will see the mobile web inspector. Basically, the mobile web inspector works very similar to the desktop one, but the way to launch the web inspector of the mobile device is a little different. Here I will introduce how to launch the iOS web inspector and the Android web inspector. Okay, and for iOS, you can use the macOS Safari as the web inspector for the mobile Safari. Okay, and no APN support needed. You can enable the desktop Safari's develop option. Okay, and enable from develop iOS device name. We will show a demo later. And for Android, of course, it's via the Google Chrome. And of course, the Android web inspector is also no APN server needed. You can open desktop Google Chrome's inspector and go to the customize and control dev tools and more tools, and finally the remote devices. And we will show you the demo. Here I will show you how to enable the mobile Safari's web inspector. And you should open the desktop Safari, go to the preference and advanced, and enable show develop menu in menu bar, and you will see a develop here. And open your mobile Safari and go to the website you want to use the web inspector and click the develop. You will see your iPhone here and your website. Click on it. Okay. If you want to inspect the element, you can click on the element selection button and click on your iPhone. See? Okay, now it will bring you to the element. Okay, let's try again. Let's go to the inspect the search button. Okay, now we show me the search button and try again and try link. Okay, it's that simple. That's the web inspector for the mobile Safari. Okay, next one will show you how to use the Android web mobile web inspector. And of course, for iOS, so mobile Safari, you will use the mobile desktop version Safari. And of course, for Android, you must use the Google Chrome for the desktop. And first step, we will launch the Google Chrome. And in option, we will see more tools. And here, we will see developer tools. Click on it. It's not much different for the desktop web inspector. You must click on the customize and control dev tools here and more tools and remote devices, and you will see your connected Android device here. And here on your Android device, you need to open the mobile Chrome and open the web page you want to use the web inspector. Click on it. Okay, you will see here, and we click inspect. Okay, now the web inspector for mobile device is here. You can adjust your inspector's window size, and the web inspector for the mobile Chrome is much easy to use because you can directly click on the screen on your left side and click on the select an element. Click on it. It will show you the element, and another. Also click on the search button. It's here, and a link. Okay. Okay. So this is the web inspector for the mobile Android devices. Okay, next one we will talk about the mobile app inspector. Okay, here we will introduce two mobile app inspector. The first one will be the Macaca app inspector, and the second one will be APN Desktop's built-in inspector. And we will have a brief discussion of the difference with these two app inspector. And the Macaca app inspector, its advantage is that you don't need to set the capabilities. When you connect to the mobile device, you need to set the desired capabilities in the APN so that you can connect to the target app you want to do the automation for of the APN. So, but the Macaca app inspector, you don't need to set the capabilities. It's very big advantage. Okay, and it has a very clean interface. Also, the element locating are more accurate than APN's built-in inspector. I don't know why, but sometimes the APN's built-in inspector, you are very difficult to click some of its elements. Okay, so Macaca App Inspector has a lot of advantage. Okay, but it's slow on iOS, but it's the same with the APN's inspector. Okay, it's very slow. I don't know why. Also, you are unable to save profiles. So every time you want to enable the Macaca App Inspector, you need to assign the UDID of your device. And the support for the new OS, the ESCO version, is not so active, though it is quick enough, but it's not so active as the APN. Okay. And next one is APN Desktop. APN Desktop it has a very easy to use installation. You just on Mac OS you just need to drag and drop, so the installation will be finished. Okay, very easy. And also it's a built-in app inspector. So it guarantees you that what you get in the web inspector should be work in the APN test automation. Okay, and the next one, the profiles can be saved for different devices. So you can have multiple profiles, and next time you don't have to input the UDID. You just give it a simple, easy to memorize name. So next time you just click the profile and click the start inspect. Everything should work fine. Also, in Macaca App Inspector, you cannot do the tap, a swipe, the UI operation directly on the inspector to control the mobile devices, but the APN's built-in inspector can do this. Okay, but it also has some disadvantages. Okay, you need to manually assign desired capabilities, but it's okay because it's a one-time job. You can also you can set it to the profile, so you don't need to input the same capabilities again. And the biggest problem is that we just mentioned, is sometimes you having problems to click to locate the element, especially when some elements overlap another element. So it's very easy to misclick. So it has these disadvantages. So we can show you a demo. Okay, here I will show you how to use the app inspector of the Macaca app inspector here. First thing, you want to use the inspector, you need to know the UDID of your devices, whether you are using the iOS or the Android devices. Okay, for iOS devices, remember you have installed a third-party tool called LIV iMobile devices. So we can type the command iDevice info, and it will show you your UDID here. Okay, but today I want to use Android device as my demo because it's much quicker. Okay, the performance is greater than on iOS. So for Android device, I type ADV devices. It will show you the device you attach to the computer, and this is our Android devices. Okay, so to use the Macaca App Inspector is very easy. Just have to type App Inspector. Give him the your UDID. It will launch the App Inspector and open web browser, and you will see this is your Android devices, and you can go to the app you want to use the web inspector. For example, I launch the Live Connect host app, and after you launch the app, just click refresh. Okay, and you can do your app inspector, locate your element. To use the app inspector is very simple. Just click on the element. It will tell you what is the element. Okay, for this which button is called, let's go here, and you can see the XPath Lite and the XPath, the full XPath. Okay, and it will show you the attribute. Okay, is enabled, or is clickable, or what is text, what is its class. Okay, and lots of them. Okay, when you click on the, for example, you want to copy the XPath, you see it's a pop-up fly over, and click copy. Just click, and you copy the XPath into your clipboard. So it's very easy to use, and you can copy it into your IDE or your code editor, so that you can click easy to use your element locator. Okay, let's see more example. If I click the which button, okay, and I click refresh, okay, it will show you the inspector. Click down the search. Okay, use the search, and click on the IM button. Okay, it will show you. So it's how to use the Macaca App Inspector. Is very easy. Okay, next we will introduce the APN. I will now introduce the APN desktop installation here, because I think the APN desktop installation is very easy. Just need to drag and drop, and the setup will be finished. So after you install the APN desktop, you need to launch the APN desktop, and it has a built-in server. So just click Start Server, and you will see the APN server started, and click on the Start Inspector session. Okay, this is the interface of the inspector. So you will need to set the desired capabilities here, and we just mentioned that you can save your profile here, and you can load the profile anytime. Then you don't have to input the desired capabilities again. So here I show you how to set the desired capabilities. Okay, here you will see that we have a lot of desired capabilities need to input it. But basically in APN is a JSON file. So you can write your desired capabilities in JSON format, just like this. And copy it into the APN desktop, just like this. And save. And save as Android. Okay. And start session. And you will see that the APN server is doing many things in the background. You try to connect it to the Android phone. Okay, now it's loaded. You can see that interface is very similar to the Macaca App Inspector, but it has a lot of different type of functions. As you can see, you can swipe back by coordinates, you can tap by coordinates, you can back, press the back button, refresh, and also you can recruit the step and search for elements and copy the XML source to the clipboard and quit the inspector. Okay, using the APN's built-in inspector is the same with the Macaca app inspector. You can click on the element. Okay, you will also list the ID, the XPath, so also will list the attribute, but it only provides the XPath, the full XPath. It doesn't provide the XPath line such as the Macaca App Inspector provides, but it's okay. Okay, if this element can be tapped or send keys or clear in the inspector, it will be enabled, but it's not grayed out. We will show you another example. Now we click on the Android phone and refresh. Okay, we'll see. Now we'll show you how to tap on in the app inspector. Okay, we click on the search button and you will see the tab button is enabled in the app inspector. So we click the tab. You will send the keys send the action we performed to the phone and auto refresh, so we can see the changes here. Okay, it's very easy to use, and you will see the accessibility ID called search, and as we mentioned before, is much quicker than the XPath, and I suggest you should use the accessibility ID anytime, because it's much faster, and it's unique, so you will not have the problem of the duplicated element locator. Okay. Also, you can tap on the app stores, the SML app stores, so you can see which element I'm click on. So here you can expand it. Okay, so it's pretty much the same with the Macaca app inspector, but it has a lot of additional functions. Okay. Okay, this is the introduction to the APN Desktop's built-in app inspector. Okay, we have introduced how to use the app inspector and know how to locate the element, but we still have a problem because sometimes, especially on iOS, using the XPath is very slow. So how do I know which element locator should I use? There is no mandatory rule to tell you which one you should use, but usually we will use unique ID first because it's much faster, and we will use a native UI selector. For example, the UI selector of the Android, the NS predicate on iOS. And if you really don't know which one you should choose, you can also use XPath. XPath is fine. XPath works well, except for the iOS. But on iOS, it also can support XPath, but the problem is slow. But yes, it can support XPath, no problem. Okay. So if you want the best performance of your test automation scripts, you should co-work with the RD team and to tell them provide the unique ID list of your element, so that you can have your best performance of your test automation script. But for those dynamic generated list or something other else that cannot have a unique ID, you can use XPath, so it's fine. Here is an example of the performance difference between the using XPath and the accessibility ID in the on iOS. As you can see, for the end-to-end demo I showed you previously, that in XPath it spent more than 2 minutes to run the whole test script, but we replaced some of the XPath with the unique ID. It only cost 1 minute and 39 seconds to complete the whole test scripts. So we may wonder what's the difference. I used one of the elements as example. We all know that there's an element called widget panel directory. Okay, in XPath, it costs more than 2 seconds to locate the element and click on it. But if we replace the XPath with accessibility ID, is here, it costs less than 1 second. So you can see there is a huge difference of the performance. Especially on iOS, you should always use accessibility ID if possible. Okay, so this is a brief introduction to the how to speed up your test automation performance. Okay, that's all for today's training. If you have any questions, you can ping me anytime on Slack. I will reply if I see your question. You will notice that I don't spend too much time on how to use a XPath or how to use other element locator because I think that we all have the capability to study on web, use Google search, and you can study by yourself, and we can discuss our findings on the COP channel so that we can improve our documents on the Jira. So it's for today, and we have a little practice. The practice will need you to try to launch the APN inspector on iOS and navigate the UI. I will provide the profile for reference, but you have to find the difference and modify the profile so that the APN inspector can run on your devices. So it's all for today. Thanks for joining. And the next training will be 1 week later. And see you next time. Thank you.